Stand by. Oh, there I am. What's up, party people? It's KeysDAN with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live in a living color from the KeysDAN Radio What? The Radio What Studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Smarter? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you could have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Let me entertain you. Make your next thing a big one. Today, hey, if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Also, if you want to watch me stream some games, sometimes I play Fortnite and maybe another game from time to time. You can find me on Twitch and find me on Facebook Gaming using the hashtag KeysDAN Gaming. Hey, also, I am transmitting live right now on my Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. So if you look up KeysDAN, you'll probably find me. YouTube, it's at KeysDAN. Twitch, it's at KeysDAN. And on Facebook, my personal Facebook, it's KeysDAN411. And then you can find my professional Facebook as well. I need to stream on that one, I think, when I'm doing these What Makes You Smarters. Or maybe even the What Makes You Smarter page. I don't know. Give me some feedback. Let me know what I need to do. Let me know what I'm doing, because I really don't know what I'm doing. Technology is great. Now, on with the show. Today on the program, 10 things you need to know today for Tuesday, January 25th, 2022. 10 things you need to know today. Number one, U.S. puts 8,500 troops on heightened alert in Ukraine crisis. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin put 8,500 U.S. troops on, quote, heightened alert, end quote. And President Biden is considering sending American forces to Eastern Europe to help NATO allies brace for a possible Russian invasion of Ukraine, the Pentagon said Monday. Quote, the decision has been made to put these units on higher alert and higher alert only, end quote. Pentagon spokesperson John Kirby said in a news briefing, quote, no decisions have been made to deploy forces from the United States at this time, end quote. NATO said it was putting forces on standby and sending more ships and fighter jets to reinforce its military resources in Eastern Europe in response to Russia's massing of 100,000 troops near its Ukraine border. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki reiterated Monday that U.S. citizens in Ukraine, quote, should leave now, end quote. Moscow denounced the Western reaction as, quote, hysteria. This is according to NBC and Reuters. Number two, Sarah Palin tests positive for COVID, delaying Times defamation trial. Sarah Palin's defamation lawsuit against the New York Times was delayed on Monday after the former Alaska governor tested positive for the coronavirus. Quote, she is, quote, she is, of course, unvaccinated, end quote, Judge Jed Rakoff said. Rakoff rescheduled the start of jury selection to February 3rd. Palin was tested for COVID-19 ahead of the trial. The 2008 Republican vice presidential nominee wants to attend jury selection in person and plans to testify in the trial. Palin is suing the Times over a 2017 editorial linking an ad by her Political Action Committee to a mass shooting that left 6 people dead. And then Representative Gabby Giffords, Democrat Arizona, severely injured. The Times issued a correction and apologized, saying there was no established link. A judge dismissed the case, but an appeals court revived it. This is according to CNN and the New York Times. Number 3, judges grant prosecutor special grand jury to investigate Trump election efforts. Fulton County, Georgia Superior Court judges on Monday granted Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis's request to convene a special grand jury to look into pressure former President Donald Trump and others put on Georgia election officials. Willis is considering whether Trump and other officials committed crimes as they urged election officials to overturn Trump's election loss in the state. Willis will be allowed to seat the special grand jury on May 2nd. It will be allowed to work for up to a year. Christopher Brasher, Chief Judge of Fulton County Superior Court, wrote in an order. Willis, a Democrat, said in a letter to the Chief Judge last week that she needed a grand jury with subpoena powers because numerous witnesses have refused to cooperate voluntarily. This is according to the Washington Post. Number 4, U.S. stocks bounced back from early Monday plunge, but volatility continues. Markets fell dramatically early Monday, but rallied later in the day, closing with modest gains. The S&P 500 fell briefly into correction territory, defined as 10% below its recent high, but closed up by 0.3%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 0.3%, its first positive day in 7. The tech-heavy NASDAQ fell by 4.9% early Monday, but ended the day up by 0.6%. Some analysts predicted that the market turbulence could continue as investors brace for more fallout from the Omicron coronavirus wave and rising interest rates. JP Morgan strategist Marko Kolanovic said the, quote, recent pullback in risk assets appears overdone and we could be in the final stages of this correction, end quote. U.S. stock futures fell early Tuesday. This is according to CNBC. Number 5, study shows Pfizer booster remains effective against Omicron for 4 months. Antibodies capable of blocking the Omicron coronavirus variant remain effective for 4 months after a booster shot of the Pfizer-BioNTech coronavirus vaccine, according to a new study. The laboratory study, which has not yet been peer-reviewed, suggests that a 4th shot, a second booster, will not be necessary just yet, as some people have speculated. Quote, that really shows that at least up to 4 months post-dose 3, there is still substantial neutralization. Let me start that over. Quote, that really shows that at least up to 4 months post-dose 3, there is still substantial neutralizing activity against Omicron, end quote, said Piyong Shi, a microbiologist at the University of Texas Medical Branch in Galveston, whose team tested antibodies in the blood of vaccinated people. Antibodies fade in the months after vaccination. Omicron evaded protection from a second vaccine dose even in the month after it was administered, but a 3rd shot restored strong immune protection. This is according to the Washington Post. Number 6, prosecutor says 3 ex-officers did nothing to help George Floyd. Lawyers gave opening arguments Monday to start the federal trial of 3 former Minneapolis police officers accused of violating the civil rights of George Floyd by failing to prevent their former colleague, Derek Chauvin, from killing him. Samantha Treppel, a federal prosecutor, said the 3 men, To Tao, Thomas Lane, and J. Alexander Quang, ignored their duties by failing to stop Chauvin from kneeling on Floyd's neck until he stopped breathing. Quote, they watched as Mr. Floyd suffered a slow and agonizing death, end quote. Treppel said in her opening statement. Defense attorneys said Floyd's death after he was detained on suspicion of buying cigarettes with a counterfeit bill was a tragedy, but they argued that their clients committed no crime. One defense lawyer said Chauvin was the senior officer and, quote, called the shots, end quote. This is according to NPR and the Associated Press. Number 7, Supreme Court to hear challenges to college affirmation action policies. The Supreme Court on Monday agreed to hear challenges to the consideration of race in the admissions process at Harvard and the University of North Carolina. Groups backed by longtime affirmative action critic Edwin Blum of Maine have sued Harvard and UNC, arguing that Harvard discriminated against Asian American students and UNC discriminated against Asian American and white applicants. The High Court has repeatedly upheld affirmative action in previous cases, but the latest challenge comes after conservatives gained a larger 6-3 majority, increasing the likelihood that the court will find the practice unconstitutional. Both schools have said their admissions policies are lawful under Supreme Court precedents. This is according to NBC News and the New York Times. Number 8, judges reject new Alabama congressional map. A panel of 3 federal judges in Alabama ruled unanimously Monday that Alabama needs to draw a new congressional map that includes, quote, 2 districts in which black voters either comprise a voting age majority or something quite close to it, end quote. The GOP-led state legislature approved a congressional map last year that retained 6 majority white districts and 1 majority black district, even though Alabama's population is about 27% black. Alabama's congressional delegation includes 6 House Republicans and 1 House Democrat representing the 7th congressional district. 3 judges, one appointed by President Bill Clinton and the other 2 by President Donald Trump, said the plaintiffs in the 3 consolidated cases are, quote, substantially likely, end quote, to prevail in their claim that Alabama's current congressional map violates the Voting Rights Act. This is according to Politico. Number 9, Biden administration free N95 masks begin arriving at pharmacies. The first free N95 masks sent out by the Biden administration started arriving in pharmacies around the country on Monday. The administration is distributing the high-quality mask as part of an effort to increase protection and test to help slow the spread of the highly infectious Omicron variant of the coronavirus, which is fueling a wave of new COVID-19 cases. The arrival of the first 400 million N95 masks the government is providing for the public came as free COVID-19 tests are arriving through the mail to people who ordered them. Quote, last week masks began shipping and arriving at pharmacies and grocers around the country. We expect that throughout the week, the number of stores and N95s arriving to scale up significantly, end quote, an administration official said. This is according to CNN. Number 10, Webb telescope arrives at its observation point. The James Webb Space Telescope reached its intended position beyond the moon Monday after a month-long journey that started with a launch from French Guiana on December 25th. From its point of observation nearly 1 million miles from Earth and beyond the moon, the Space Observatory will be able to examine the universe in new ways and look into the atmosphere of exoplanets. Webb's orbit will keep it behind Earth as it orbits the sun, shielding it from heat and keeping it cool so it can observe the universe in infrared light, allowing it to detect faint, distant objects. The telescope, a joint project of NASA, the European Space Agency, and the Canadian Space Agency, is expected to transmit its first images this summer. This is according to NPR and CNN. That's 10 things you need to know today for Tuesday, January 25th, 2022. Thank you so much for listening. This has been What Makes You Smarter. It's just my little idea to try to make myself smarter. And since I have this broadcast equipment, might as well come along with if you want to come along in the journey with me, go ahead. You can do it. Hey, if you're anywhere in the Conway, Arkansas, Central Arkansas area, and you want to do some karaoke, hey, you could do a whole lot worse than coming and joining me on Friday nights at the Webb in Conway, Arkansas, the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. They got a full bar, kitchens open, pool tables. They got a pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you want to try your hand at playing pool and possibly make some money while you're at it, while you're waiting to sing on stage right next to little old me, you provide the entertainment on Friday nights at the Webb in Conway, Arkansas. The Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. Hey, once again, if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. That's it for this edition of What Makes You Smarter. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.